I mean, you're in 2020 now. What does a certain title actually mean? What does an architect mean? Um, you know, so, a lot of architects can code now. They're bridging the gap between programmer and architect, and a lot of architects are now doing a lot of simulations and finite element studies and so on and so forth. And a lot of architects are working with robotics. Are they mechatronics engineers? Well, not quite. So it's kind of, people are in this sort of fluid state where they're absorbing more than one skill set. And you have to. In 2020, you have to be one of these T-profile people. Like, if you want to explore any of your ideas, you need to have an insight into a different discipline. I think it's absolutely fundamental. You can no longer just sit in a singular silo and be like, I'm not going to move anywhere, or I'm not going to connect or interface with any other discipline, because the world doesn't work like that anymore. The world expects you to have these reach out and connect with all these things. So in that sense, you're wearing multiple hats simultaneously. So yeah, I guess that's probably why the reason I didn't reach for a single sort of discipline. I just went, out of my skill sets, what is the easiest pathway? Like, a river finding a route through a valley or something like that. What is the easiest pathway? And if the end goal is then to reach a state where you're of value, to your family, to your community, and then even at a bigger scale than that, then it's really about just carving that pathway through that and using whatever skill sets. And if you have to learn new skill sets, then do that, Yeah.
Just double clicking on the state of the architecture industry, as you were saying just then, is that kind of feature consistent with your observations at the moment? Do the vast majority of architects practicing at the moment, do you feel like they're exploring this other side of things? What's your take on that?
As with any discipline, right? There will be a subset of this group that are exploring the sort of fringe subjects, And I think moving forward, these are the groups of people that will add value back to the community. They will, it's actually, I was thinking about this yesterday when I was writing something, and it's very much sort of this group of people that are exploring new ideas, and when they're put out there, it'll be very alien. Like, what the hell? What are you thinking? Kind of thing. Or in some places it might be just shock and awe kind of thing, right? And then eventually it'll go through a phase of normalization. So a lot of people will be experimenting with the same things. The tools will become more widespread and more accessible. And then people go, oh, okay, I kind of understand where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. And then eventually it'll become the new normal. It'll be, everyone's using these tools. It's the norm. I mean, it takes something as simple as CAD, for example, right? Back in the day when all the architects were drawing on pen and paper and, doing revisions in a traditional sort of drafting board, scratching things out and working things. Beautiful drawings, a lot of craft, a lot of years of training goes into doing that kind of thing. And then CAD kind of arrived, and I was looking at some magazine the other day. Well, it was actually, it's not the other day, it was like a few months ago. I think it was at the Barbers or something like that. And then I opened this magazine and there was a photograph of a guy with like one of the really early sort of CAD systems. And it was like this chap in front of a gigantic computer, and it looked like he was drawing a few lines, and it just looked like the most basic plans, kind of thing. Those were the early adopters, sort of the people to experiment with this technology and kind of become champions of this technology. And now it's like, what are you doing? If someone is sitting in front of a drafting table, you're kind of like, bro, like, what are you up to?